If you're a fearful avoidant or you're in a relationship with one, you are no stranger to their intense emotional reactivity. This is actually a distinctive and oftentimes misunderstood trait of this attachment style. So let's talk about where this comes from. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Rachel, a self-worth and relationship coach that specializes in attachment healing so that you can love yourself deeply and connect with others fully. I am also a healing fearful avoidant myself, so this is in fact a sneak peek inside the FA mind. This infamous emotional reactivity isn't random, and it's certainly not a signal that you're broken if you're a fearful avoidant watching this. It's a protective survival response rooted in the push-pull dynamic. It typically stems back to childhood. This can happen in your adult life, particularly traumatic relationships or a loss, as our attachment style can change over the course of our lives, hence why people can become secure. But typically speaking, this is rooted in your primary experiences with your caregivers. And fearful avoidants oftentimes grew up in very unpredictable, inconsistent environments, as sometimes love felt safe and available, and other times it felt rejecting, critical, or even scary. Inconsistency essentially splits the nervous system into anxious and avoidant sides, where you were wired to deeply desire connection and intimacy, but also fear it at the same time. Also developed a deep mistrust with the driving wound, the betrayal wound. The nervous system, instead of being wired for stability, you get wired with hypervigilance, always scanning for signs of betrayal, danger, threats to connection. Growing up, you couldn't always fight or flee your caregivers or your environment, right? So sometimes we had to end up using emotional intensity, crying, anger, isolation as a survival tool to be seen or protected. And over time, with enough repetition, the body learns that big reactions equals survival and protection. If I don't express strongly, then I won't be heard, I won't be safe, or I might lose this connection altogether. And as a fearful avoidant, the biggest need and desire within relationships is to be seen, heard, understood, and to trust our partner. If we feel like we aren't and that need is not being met, and you will notice that the fearful avoidant will make you hear them, will make you see them. The fearful avoidant nervous system is wired to be on high alert, so even subtle cues can feel huge. Like conflict, for instance, it's not just a disagreement, the nervous system. It is perceived as a survival threat, and the body reacts before the rational mind can catch up. By the time the fearful avoidant realizes what's happening, rational mind is already offline and the amygdala is running the show. And when we are in our survival responses, we are not physically prioritizing connection. We are in full-fledged protection mode. Maybe you felt misunderstood or unseen. Maybe there was a perceived rejection or criticism, a high-stakes conversation, broken trust, or trust that was shaky and not fully repaired. These are typically when you will notice that reactivity coming out. But here's the thing, this is also one of the behaviors that brings up the most shame for the fearful avoidant, because once the nervous system regulates again, the actual trigger oftentimes looks much smaller in compared to the response, which deepens the shame and reaffirms I'm defective, I'm too much. You already have this internalized message that your feelings are too much, they're overwhelming, they're inconvenient, or even dangerous. Other people seem to be able to stay calm, so your intensity must mean that you're broken. Then further fuels the shame spiral of lashing out, then punishing yourself, thinking you've ruined it yet again. But when our emotional and inner world feel too overwhelming and uncontrollable, we're responding only from our default survival responses. Part of that is because we actually lack the understanding and trust of what is happening in our body. If you're a fearful avoidant, listen to me, okay? You learn to protect yourself by disconnecting with yourself and your body, only to then end up not trusting your own internal environment that is sending you signals constantly. One of the reasons why we go down the shame spiral is because we identify these signals as threats and make it mean something about ourselves. The next time that this comes up, I invite you to give yourself the permission to acknowledge that your nervous system is actually doing exactly what it is supposed to do and what it has learned to do your entire life up until this point, to protect you, rather than make it mean something about you, rather than allow it to be evidence that you're broken. Understanding what is happening is the first step in being able to change the response and create the internal safety that you never learned. Internal safety and self-trust, they're learnable skills. Hi, I'm proof of that. Hi, my clients are proof of that. Hi, people are proof of that every single day that are doing the work and healing. It's okay that you don't have the skills right now. It is okay. That is not your fault. Attachment style is not your fault. But now it is your responsibility to begin reteaching yourself that you can feel safe in your own body and in your relationships.